Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday night Anam Karma meditation program. With all my heart, with all my love, I welcome you to our program this evening. I'm just delighted that you were able to join us tonight. And just as we were talking, that presence that you bring, the presence of your sublime self, as well as the presence of your seeking mind. That's what's so special about this kind of gathering, satsang, to be gathering in the company of the truth. That's each and every one of you. You're all the embodiment of the highest. So we come together to do the practices, to discuss, to share understanding, so that we can more and more fully live that moment to moment in everyday life. Especially in this age, in Eastern traditions, the cycle of time that's endlessly repeating, divided into 4 ages. The first 3 are gone. We're at the last one. The last one is called Kali Yuga. And it's this age of Kali, in this sense, means dark. Just like the goddess Kali is the dark goddess. But this age is a dark age in that ignorance, the lack of dharma, the lack of really the embodiment of compassion and seeking the highest for everyone is at its lowest ebb. And so, of course, we see that everywhere. But it's also the time when the practices are most available, the truth is most accessible, that it's most widely disseminated and available to everyone, so that we can do practices where it used to be there was a time when you had to go, into the Himalayas or into a jungle somewhere to learn about such things. No, now it's everywhere. But to really develop the understanding, that takes then this kind of dialogue and interaction so that we can clarify our understanding and live from that place. And as we were saying before, the practices, well, they're aimed at the mind. And how do we calm the mind? Well, one of the things we've been doing to start with is to just give the mind a place to come to rest. And we do that simply with the mantra aham. And it's an ancient mantra. It's said to be going on with the breath all the time. And it simply means I am. It's the invocation of the already fully present awareness of being. I am. But it's the I am, the infinite. I am the auspicious one. I am Buddha. I am Christ. I am all that is. It's that kind of I am awareness. Not the little I awareness that the ordinary mind is already practicing of, I'm lacking this, I wish I had that, I'm just this kind of person, blah, blah, blah. No, it's that, not that. That's what creates the bondage and suffering, is inhabiting those kinds of thought forms. So when we do the simple awareness, along with the harmonium, and then the hum on the exhalation, the ah as the breath comes in, just listening. Hum as the breath goes out. Again, silently in the mind. Inviting the mind and body to let go and let go. continuing that slower, deeper breathing. It's a signal to our whole nervous system. It's that resonant frequency. It's built in. So we do roughly 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. So we put that, also that sound of the harmonium playing when we put out the video under the meditation, that continues. Because it just helps to invite the breath to come into this rhythmic pattern that changes the neurophysiology of the body, the brain, everything. And invites that quieting, that stilling. We have to do that in part because the mind is such a compulsive thinker. It just wants to talk all the time internally. And that's in part how it sustains its existence. So in meditation, we aim towards quieting and quieting and quieting and detaching and stepping farther and farther away from the stream of thoughts, sensations, whatever the content of mind is. Step farther and farther away. And by disengaging from it, we don't keep putting energy into it to keep it spinning. We let it slow and slow and slow. Because it's in the stillness where we first experience the full expansiveness of being. The being that is so far beyond the ordinary mind, yet always right here, right now, present. So that's what the practices invite us to know and then be able to live into the world. So I wanted to share tonight, I thought I'd do a reading from the Dhammapada. And the Dhammapada is a collection of Buddhist sayings, and it was compiled in Pali, the language at that time of the Buddhist monks, especially in Sri Lanka. And they compiled it. It was some centuries after Buddha had taken Mahasamadhi, had left that form. But it was compiled as a text for everybody, not just for monks or people studying in any kind of monastic tradition. It was meant to be kind of the heart essence of Buddha's teachings on how to traverse the Noble Eightfold Path, to live that into the world, into everyday life. And so it's the kind of text that one can pick up any time and read a few lines or a few pages and have it help to inform our experience and help to transform the mind. These kinds of practices where we engage in contemplation, reading, they have a purifying effect on the mind because we're running much higher understandings and truths through the mind so it can get familiar with them, because we're not bumping into that in everyday life, in everyday dialogue on social media or news or whatever. That's not what we're bumping into. There's all this other stuff that is going into the mind and polluting this sublime instrument. So we really need to shift and run these different kinds of content through the mind, whether it's mantras, chants, highest teachings, understandings, dialogue around the highest truth. So all are part of sadhana practices on an everyday basis. Now it's interesting in the Dhammapada that it starts out in a very famous chapter called the Twin Verses, and you'll see why. Because it's doing a kind of compare and contrast, something the mind likes to do. So, but right away, it starts with dealing with the mind, because that is the critical domain that we are working with in sadhana spiritual practices. It's the mind. It's transforming the mind and detaching and stepping back so that we can own the truth that we have a mind, we're not limited by the mind. We have a body, we're not limited by the body. The infinitude of being embraces all, but is not bound and limited to those. But to transform the mind so it becomes an instrument in the hands of your divine nature, in the hands of your Buddha nature, then we can manifest that in our everyday lives, live that into the world. And so the Dhammapada starts with being directed towards the mind. Now, when we listen to the Dhammapada, this is a time to also practice that I am awareness. Because these may seem like Buddha's words. Who's Buddha? Oh, you're Buddha. Huh? You're Buddha. You're Buddha talking to Buddha. And so when we take that in, we start to go, oh, wait a minute. I know this. I'm the source of this wisdom. This came from Buddha nature. That means it came from the essence of who everyone is. So we can listen to it with that understanding that this is their own highest nature, reminding the mind of what its true nature is, of what it can get free of, how it can be transformed. It's your Buddha nature talking to you to set you free. And freedom in the Buddhist tradition, it's almost a technical term, really, nirvana. It means extinguished. What's extinguished? Oh, that would be the mind. And it's compulsive activity that draws identification to it. And when we extinguish that, then the wide open field of boundless awareness, the truth of who you are, that is immediately present. So we keep that in mind as we listen to the Buddha talking to Buddha. Chapter 1, the twin verses. Our life is shaped by our mind. We become what we think. Suffering follows an evil thought, as the wheels of a cart follow the oxen that draw it. Our life is shaped by our mind. We become what we think. Joy follows a pure thought, like a shadow that never leaves. Twin verses. That's compare and contrast. What happens with a negative thought as we hold that, what happens to a positive thought, joy. See? Third one. He was angry with me. He attacked me. He defeated me. He robbed me. Those who dwell on such thoughts will never be free from hatred. He was angry with me. He attacked me. He defeated me. He robbed me. Those who do not dwell on such thoughts will surely become free from hatred. For hatred can never put an end to hatred. Love alone can. This is an unalterable law. People forget that their lives will end soon. For those who remember, quarrels come to an end. Who wants to quarrel when your death is so near? Do you want anger to be the way you exit this world? Can you say when you will? That's how the wise look at it. No use to entertaining that. As a strong wind blows down a weak tree, Mara, the tempter, overwhelms weak people who, eating too much and working too little, are caught in the frantic pursuit of pleasure. As the strongest wind cannot shake a mountain, Mara, delusion really, cannot shake those who are self-disciplined and full of faith. Those who put on the saffron robe without purifying the mind, who lack truthfulness and self-control, are not fit to wear the saffron robe. But those who have purified their minds, who are endowed with truth and self-control, are truly fit to wear the saffron robe. Saffron robe is the robe of a monk. It's a robe of renunciation. What are you renouncing? The mind. Well, its content, its limitations. So many put on orange clothes, but they just keep the same color mind. There's no freedom there. It's just a show. The deluded, imagining trivial things to be vital to life, follow their vain fancies and never attain the highest knowledge. But the wise, knowing what is trivial and what is vital, set their thoughts on the supreme goal and attain the highest knowledge. That discrimination, that viveka, what's trivial? What's vital? What's the truth? What's not? We see a world full of people pursuing the trivial for momentary pleasures, relief of pain. But what's vital for sadhana, what's vital for truly getting free of suffering, goes unnoticed so often. So we have to continue to be aware of that, to be vigilant about that, to maintain that discrimination in the moment. All discrimination goes out the window when there's anger or fear around. So we have to maintain the strength of that, the steadiness of that, like a mountain. As rain seeps through an ill-thatched hut, passion will seep through an untrained mind. As rain cannot seep through a well-thatched roof, passion cannot seep through a well-trained mind. So Buddha making it very clear, your own self making it very clear, very down-to-earth ways to understand how important it is to become impervious to what's outside, born of ignorance, and what the mind is entertaining, that comes from ignorance and delusion. It's not the truth of who you are. So why inhabit that? Those who are selfish suffer here and hereafter. They suffer in both worlds from the results of their own actions. But those who are selfless rejoice here and rejoice hereafter. They rejoice in both worlds from the results of their own actions. Those who are selfish suffer in this life and in the next. They suffer seeing the results of the evil they have done, and more suffering awaits them in the next life. But those who are selfless rejoice in this life and in the next. They rejoice seeing the good they have done, and more joy awaits them in the next life. So, Buddha didn't practice Buddhism, he practiced yoga. And the yoga tradition, Hindu tradition, recognizes all those patterns that keep getting replicated lifetime after lifetime. So we have to make our choices over and over again to really become steady in the truth, steady in being selfless, steady in being compassionate and kind, present. And then, even for the ordinary mind, it can grasp that, that's going to feel good here, and it will result in better karmas for the next life. Those who recite many scriptures but fail to practice their teachings are like a cowherd counting another's cows. They do not share in the joys of the spiritual life, but those who know few scriptures yet practice their teachings, overcoming all envy, hatred, delusion, live with a pure mind in the highest wisdom. They stand without external support and share in the joys of the spiritual life. So we don't have to know all these scriptures. Fundamentally, the truth is quite simple. The mind is a novelty-seeking instrument. I like that. Is there another teaching? Is there a new teaching? Maybe there's not 7 chakras, maybe there's 9. Hey, we got 2 new ones. Maybe we should go visit them. This is the nature of the mind. It's always looking for a new thing, right? To entertain itself with. To entertain its limited nature, because it's lacking. So it's always seeking something to make it more full. To come home to the simple truth of I am. To begin with, that's, the mind goes, I am, that's all there is. That's because it has not a clue what that I am awareness is. The expansiveness, the rapturousness. That's why Buddha had to keep teaching also the four immeasurables. This is where the practices bring us to knowing the full truth of who we are, is to know that we're boundless, loving, compassionate. That's our nature. That we have boundless wisdom that knows all that is. That we have boundless, rapturous joy. Boundless. It makes the best of any sensory experience like dust in comparison. It's why some yogis, upon knowing that and attaining that, they just leave their body. Huh? What's left to know? Dharma is what holds us. That's why in the Bodhisattva tradition, you make a vow to keep coming back to all get to know that infinite, rapturous, ecstatic, loving, compassionate, wise, steady state of equanimity, unshakable equanimity. So we make a vow so we don't just get absorbed and go, oh, swaha world, good luck with that. That's how the many yogis approach it still like that. Well, I got free and, so maybe next lifetime you will. That wasn't part of what Buddha was teaching. Buddha's emphasis on compassion was, no, we'll keep coming back in one way or another in order to help all beings know in the fullness of every atom of their being, the truth of who they are. The fullness of freedom. The freedom that can never be bound. So that's what we practice for. That's what we aim at then passing on to all. And so that's why we do these practices and contemplate and live it into the world. Both because, it is a genuine source of unparalleled joy, steadiness, presence, that transforms our life here and now. But it also keeps us aligned with the highest intention of our own being. The infinite wants all beings to know the truth of its self. So now what we're going to do is chant one of the great mantras that opens further the doors to knowing that. The mantra of Om Kali Ma, Kali Namo Nama. Kali. What could one say about Kali? Beyond words. That's why her form is so mysteriously black. It's to symbolize the impenetrable mystery of one's highest nature. Kali is you. Kali is all there is. But it's the mystery of that reveals itself to itself, but still remains a mystery to the mind. Why? It's too big for the mind. The mind is a tiny thimble. Kali, the infinite ocean of existence. What can fit in this little thimble? Oh, some inspiring words, some pointers from great poet saints like Kabir, Mirabai. So we want to just throw ourselves into the ocean. It's the only way to know. It's to dissolve into that. That's why even Meister Eckhart the Christian mystics. The only way to know God, he said, is to become God. The only way to know the one, become the one. Become the one? Well, you already are. So it's letting go of the notion, I'm not the one. The real truth is, you are. And so all the practices are aimed at cutting through that delusion of not being what you really are. So as we chant the mantra, becoming absorbed in it with the awareness, I am that. And then we'll sit in meditation and become more deeply absorbed in that. The mind moves, let it move with Om Kalima, Om Kalima. If it becomes absolutely still, just stay with that presence, stillness. Revel in that. Rest in that. Dissolve in that. So now we'll chant. Shri Mata Kali Devi Ki Jai. Om Kali Ma Kali Namo Namah. Om Kali Namo Namah. Om Kalima. Om Kalima. Resting in the stillness, the expansiveness, the divine embrace. Om Kalima. Om Kalima. So we end with this prayer. May all our practices truly benefit everyone, and may all beings know complete freedom from suffering. Namaste. Freedom, just the other side of the mind. To be able to step back over and over again, see the stream of the mind flowing by. Just witnessing it, just watching it from that place that says, oh, I'm not that. Neti, not this, not that. It's the same place that also says, I'm all this and more and more. All or nothing. That'll lead us to the truth. Anything in between, well, a lot of suffering. We become identified with the parts, give up the whole. So we keep coming back to the truth, the fullness, the wholeness of simply being. So even the mind has to let go of doing things during the meditations. Let go of doing this thought, this practice. They're good to start with, and then even those have to be left to enter the stillness, infinitude of being. That's the black dot. That's the bindu. Nothing enters there. Literally nothing. So we have to be nothing to know everything. So many paradoxes. It's the mind to do. It should surrender. It should give up. Curl up at your feet. Be a dutiful servant, ready when called to do thy bidding. Until then, you can just sit, rest. So keep coming back to the truth of who you are, whether it's through mantra, contemplation, practices, sangha, keeping the company of others, also seeking to know and live the highest into the world. We're blessed with so many ways that work in this age of Kali Yuga. It's part of our gift. It's a time of darkness and delusion. But there's so many ways to know the light, to experience the light, to carry the light. That's what we're given. So I want to thank you all again for coming this evening and bringing the fullness of your divine nature, bringing your commitment to practice and live the truth into the world, into your everyday lives. That is so rare these days. So thank you for being ones who do that. And thank you for the many ways you support Anamkara, through donations, through sharing the e-newsletters, by participating on these satsangs and in the courses. We have one coming up starting on June 4th, and that will run until the end of July. So it will be 8-week contemplative course where we'll be diving into some of the new gifts of the Devi that have come similarly as they have in Kali's Bazaar, that collection of poetry, or Oh My Beloved. So this is the new one, and the information is on the website, and it's been out in the e-newsletter. So if you'd like to register, please do so, or just email me and let me know. And then I look forward to seeing you again. That'll be June 1st. So I'll see you then. Namaste.